Well, we prepared for him for the first game, so we thought he'd be out there last week, and it was only till Thursday that we realised there would be a couple changes. So, look, we've been fully aware of the threat that not only him but Carberry brought last week. He still got a bit of time out there last, in the back end of the game, and did some threatening little things. So, we know that he's very experienced, and I know from playing with experienced players that they have a big impact on the game. Yeah, it's a tough one, to take it up a level, because both teams are going to improve. We understood that they were off a long travel last week. Probably don't get to the right sleeping patterns till Wednesday, Thursday. And then they hadn't seen us play since November, so they've got a real read on us now. Obviously we've got a read on them, but. It allows you the opportunity to change up things and really dissect the footage and have an area of attack. How they come at us tomorrow, we're excited. You can only assume what you think's going to happen, and then you've got to be able to deal with it on the field. Like I've been saying, we expect them to change up a few things. Different players are going to bring different threats. You've got to be able to understand that these things will happen and then deal with it, move on, like with the intensity you're speaking about. Well, if you're doing the same thing, you've got to raise the bar on how you're doing it. So, if we're going to kick, if we're going to run, it's about doing it and the attention to detail being even better and the urgency being a level better than it was last week, because they're going to expect it. So everyone's going to be 30 centimetres, a metre closer to the ball because they're assuming it's going to happen. They're under no illusion these guys are a top team, and the players within their team are fantastic. So. You've got to go up a level and not forget about the small things. Obviously, you've got a bunch of guys who will want to come in and make a point. No one likes missing out on a game. Every player understands teams rotating and wanting to get game time for different players. So. If I was in their shoes, you want to come out and make a difference, and I'm sure all their forwards are thinking that way.
The guys off the bench last weekend made a massive impact against ASF, and it first constraints to the front row. How important are they going to be tomorrow?
Yeah, I've said a lot that our bench can't just join the game. They've got to add to the game, make a difference, swing momentum. If you've got a really effective bench, then you're a level above other teams. Look, I think if you're comparing last week, it's hard because the bench is a unique position. I think you can actually prepare. You've got to prepare differently for coming off the bench as you do to start a game. A lot of their guys actually start the game who are on the bench, so it was a different look for them. They're more used to probably starting on the field. How we deal with that again is going to be 24 hours time sort of feel.
How much time have you spent on the set pieces this week? It's likely to be
Yeah, good amount. Like a solid amount of time without getting bogged down in it. You've got to. It's such a huge area of the game. Obviously we weren't happy with. We think we can get better in the scrum, and we definitely can get better in the line out just with our sharpness and. A couple of things there of the rust and new things being added that probably didn't work to how we have liked to launch our attack last week. So spend a good amount of time without getting, too bogged down in not wasting time, but forgetting about the other things.
With the weather, do you how do you prepare for that? Because you have to switch to a plain day if it is raining.
Yeah, you can't prepare for the weather. Especially in this city, it's been a great city. On Sunday I had a look at the iPhone weather, and that's very unreliable, right? But it said rain all week. We've trained in sprinkling conditions for maybe 15 minutes. So, we could turn up tomorrow and I'm hearing hailing conditions, and then we could turn up tomorrow and the sun's out and it's a glorious Melbourne night, So, plan B, plan A. We don't have one at the moment.
You guys have tended to start slowly in June, like Michael's spoken about. Do you have confidence that there is, that having played okay and had a win, that team will still continue, will improve?
Yeah, starting the game with the intent's key. I mean, scoreboard aside, starting with the intensity that spoke about, starting with the way we want to play can set you up for the whole game. Being able to relieve pressure, really important. Getting some of our big forwards, shoulder contact, getting them into the game is, sometimes when teams are kicking a lot, it's hard to do. So your forwards can look up at the clock 15 minutes in and be sort of, not feel like they've gotten into the game. So it's nice to be able to try and manufacture that at the start of the game.
I guess also mean just in the whole entire test, so you start slowly as June,
Oh, okay.
August, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And,
Oh, as a whole, you mean?
So you're talking about coming into camp this year, maybe, a better hit with the super coaches, sent guys in better conditioning. Are you starting from a more advanced place this June than you have done?
Yeah, there's heaps of factors there that the coaching staff have done really well. I mean, blooding a lot of players last year was to boost competition through a lot of the tight five positions, really smart. The fitness emphasis that's been made so much of, really good. And then just the way Czech is structuring the team, allowing the team to take control of its own parts has also been really helpful. And, hindsight would be great 6 months down the track to see where we're at with this and how it's worked for us.
When you reviewed the game, did you see a lot of upside for your team, and how much will you need that in terms of obviously you're playing a full strength Irish team as opposed to?
Saw a heap of upside, saw a lot of opportunities to run the ball. We put a lot of kicks up in the air, and that worked for us. And then, you look at if you didn't kick there, maybe the next phase we could have got them with, running or shifting the ball and changing the picture there. So, it was a good review to have, but there's also so much that we can get better at. And, sticking to structure is key, and relieving the pressure for us was key in that game. But, can we be a bit more, not loose, but experimental, potentially?
It's very much a test series, really. Drawing upon the experience of 2016 in the second test, how was that series? Just look at it now into the second.
It's a completely different feel. I mean, it's hard to relate the two tests. I mean, that first game in 2016 was so strange because we got out to such a flying start and ended up losing the game. You sort of in the change room going, how did we lose that? And then the second week we tried to fix those, and then it just collapsed for us in a way. So you can't really relate the two. We've gotten off, had a really good week's prep, started well last week. Grinded out a gutsy win. Now it's how we turn a new week off a win, how we deal with that, coming off a high and trying to replicate that and better at raising the bar, like I spoke about. That's a challenge for us.
Leadership.
Ready, 5 seconds. Okay, here we go, guys. Nice roll straight here. Good in the middle. Good, yep, done. Coach is in, please. Oh, there it is. Good. Thank you, guys.